playing faster with the salad here. I think this is the best explanation personally. I don't want to bias it. But I think it's the best explanation personally because there have been some studies that basically explain away the relationship between gender and offending. There's some studies that totally explain the gender gap with self-control. The gender gap goes away once you like statistically account for self-control. And that's really compelling. It's really compelling. There's some studies doing some that I've done where the gender gap doesn't go away. But there's some studies where it does, and it's usually reduced like that. So the gender gap is at least in part, seems clear, at least in part because of different. This last argument here relates to labeling here. We know that males are more likely to be arrested than females, but are males more likely to be arrested than females when they're both involved in the same type of food? And the answer is positive. The idea here could be that, say, a registered officer could use their discretion in ways that advantage females and disadvantage females from disadvantage. And when there are times when the officer maybe has some discretion, they don't always have discretion over arrest. So when they do have discretion over an arrest, maybe they choose more often to apply that discretion in ways that advantages women than men. Yes, exactly. And there are certain types of crimes exactly where you're sort of altered to sort of like male and female part of command. You can it's very much the case where the male can sort of be the guilty party and work with the services and deal that way. Because the officers can come into a situation with kind of gender bias. And so that determines how the interactions. There's a possibility of like differential mating that happens between males and females. All of these are potential explanations. I think all of them are compelling in one way. If you can't come up with a backpack question, picking any one of these, assigning it some meaning as to whether I think this is useful or not useful, maybe comparing it to your own experience. I think it's a great question. Something you find in this is giving it some thought, applying these concepts, making them real. I think they're real to me. That's why I really do a lot of them. That's why I don't know if I can just be a reason. I like teaching. The reason I like teaching is because these are real things to me. Like you can see them, you can feel it. You can't touch them, but they're nonetheless real. So the whole point of tactics to help make them real to you. So the final thing we're going to talk about is the idea that what if the gender gap between male and female is closing? This is the focus of the reading of science, which everyone works with. The reading comes from a book that came out in 1975 called Sisters in Crime. Sisters in Crime by Frida Adams. Frida Adams read still alive. She predicted in this book. Now, when I say the word predicted, I mean actually predicted, like I can predict the future, which is almost always a bad idea. In social science, in general, we're really bad about predicting. Really bad about predicting the future. Like, I'm a criminologist, like I have a PhD in criminology. And you're to ask me what's going to happen with crime rate in 2025 and 2026, I have no clue. I have no idea. And I'm not even going to embarrass myself when I try to predict that point. Unfortunately, we didn't get that level. She wrote this book that tried to predict that. Her prediction is based on some really good ideas. Her prediction was that the gender gap was going to close. There's going to be, over time, looking into the future, there's going to be more equality and offended behavior between males and females. The gender gap is expected to shrink. She spends quite a bit of time in the reading talking about how gender differences in offending are not due to biological differences, she argued, they're due to like social expectation kinds of difference. They're a product of socialization and gender socialization, all that kind of like moving away from the idea that there is biological difference, like things like testosterone. No, nonsense. Instead, it's mostly just the socialization stuff. So socialization stuff changes. That's a product of like the social environment. So as the social environment changes, gendered expectations could also change, and then as a result, you can see differences or change rather in the pattern of offending between males and females. So she proposed this kind of liberation piece, writing in the 1970s, and she's arguing that looking into the future, as you're seeing the social expectations assigned to women, I mean, the early 1970s, you're talking about it, like in the media, it was like shows, watch shows in the 70s, a lot of it is about something. But the other that's a big topic of conversation is that if you have different social expectations that are assigned to women, such that they're becoming more and more less less and less distinguishable from those that are assigned to men, what you're having is liberation happening in terms of women's behavior. There are these gendered expectations on behaviors that are applied to women differently than they're applied to men. And if those become bigger as a result of like women's liberation movement, what's going to happen to women's spending? She's arguing that these gender role expectations are going to kind of increasingly break down. And what's going to happen is that if male offending and female offending is going to increase because there are special social role expectations that are assigned to women, applied to women that are different. And it's the idea of like moving gender, so like gender stereotypes. When those weaken, those go away, those stereotypes are control wrong. Behaviors are control wrong. And when those weaken, what's going to happen to the offending female? Going to kind of increase. She points at a kind of piece of evidence for her theory that female offending increased her when gender roles shifted a little bit. So she's expecting this to kind of happen moving forward. 30 years later, they tested this idea. 30 years later, they tested this idea. Book came out in 1975. They tested this idea to see what was happening in the 30 years since the publication of it. So this is from this paper. I don't have the name of the paper on here because the picture is too big and it's all like okay. So it's from the NCDS, it's the National Crime Museum. So we're really talking about violent offending where you know the gender of the crimes and victims, their victim reports, and where the gender of the you're not self-reporting your own offending, you're reporting your own victims. So the idea is I have 1973 back here, and 2012. And we have right here the UCR. We have here victimization survey that I was talking about. UCR looks like uniform power. So this is like crimes known to the police, and this is what happens in this, which is victimization, where the gender meets gender. And this over here, and she didn't label the y-axis. Label the y-axis. She describes this thing over here as the gender rate ratio. It's kind of a weird way of saying, but we're interpreting right now the proportion of the crime that's committed by women. Proportion of the crime that's committed by women. So it's like 15% down here. It's like what 35% of it. So it's like if women are committing something between I don't know, 15 and 22% of the crime in 1970. That is increasing up to a little north of 30% in 2005. That's exactly what Alger would anticipate. It's exactly what she expected. That female offending rate, but then they break it down a little bit. It turns out that this is just a proportion. Proportions are bound to that. We're seeing here, this is female offending. But this is male offending. These are the same things. I'm talking about simple assault here. Violent crime. Simple assault is like the most prevalent violent crime. It's just not treated. It's very common, but it's not treated all that much. The idea here is that while this is increased, the gender rate ratio, the proportion of crimes committed by women is increasing. This is due to a decline in male offending. Male offending decline. Women offending basically equal back status that filled out. The dramatic, it wasn't an increase in female offending saw, but a decrease in male offending. This is a new thing. This is a new thing that we have in Italy. Prior to that, you did not have security. So now we have a new social relationship. Why is it that male offending is violent? Why did that happen? There are a couple of possibilities. One possibility is that alongside the liberation of women, you also see male social role changing a little bit. What sometimes people call the domestication of men. Domestication of men. Your social role as like a father in the household is different in 2005 than it was in 1975. So controlling of social institutions might be increasing rather than decreasing. It's basically the opposite of what she expected, but yet it produces the same relationship in a way. The gender gap error, it was due to men offending less rather than this. You know, you totally buy this argument about males' expectations changing. I don't know if that give out some thoughts. Why is it that male offending seems to be declining more than women's offending? Now, I see you have a note here. I think something else that we have in the case like clown topic. Talk about that next class. The idea is that crime offenders are like the soul of the thing, but the crime trend of offending being left experienced the greater extent by men. This is the last thing I want to point out. I have access to some data. It's collected in a very large sample. Public knowledge company. Some 50,000 kids or so were surveyed like 2 years ago. Actually, probably back in a year. And they were asked a bunch of questions. Okay. And what a great different place, but it's also like what part of the education country by population, but you get a really good snapshot of the adolescent populations. In fact, some of you might have been of this exact same age when the survey. I put this together, and what you can see is that the males and females, and so we have certain types of delinquency, like attacking someone carrying skill, we'll still see these weird male only pattern of working with female pattern. When you're seeing information that is pregnant, where the gender gap has now flipped. Okay. The gender gap has now flipped. I want to see the gender gap. There's a general trend for less and less substance use going out of in general. I mean, it's pretty dramatic actually. In this explanation that we get into that. But yet we're seeing more and more female offending relative to male offending, even amidst this decline. There's still a further decline in male substance use than there is among women. Based on her experiences, does this kind of track? Or is this unusual? Is this unexpected to you? I seriously don't know. There's a paper that could be written here, and I want to know your opinion. You think this is how? I have no clue. I inquired some really smart people that I know. They don't. But we're also not thinking. What do you think? Okay. Among females, among female, maybe. Other thoughts, perhaps. So seeing gender norms become a little bit different. There could be over your opinion. The child we're expecting to change the world. Were the girls more involved in drugs than boys? Yeah, this does play in the arrows. Definitely. Wow. It's just kind of impressive. That was good. Yeah. That, so, right. So, the relationships that Gilbert, out there here is certainly different. curious if it's at least part true to female adolescents hang out with their friends for male, like outside of school for me. I don't know if that's true. I wonder if it might. It's a little not a behavior, but I don't know if that's true. So it's just yeah.